everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Men-Nefer, which is a Euro-style game in which you're building the Great Pyramids of ancient Egypt and sphinxes and such. And it is about getting tons of points by taking various actions. That sounds like a lot of other games out there, and in a sense this is like a lot of games out there, but there are differences. Let's take a look. There's a lot going on in the game, so I'm just going to be giving you a very high-level overview. One thing I do want to point out, there's a lot of stacking. See these scarabs here? You'll have one from each player on these tracks stacked, and there's other spots where there's a bunch of things that are stacked. And I found that setup in this game does take a bit. Each player has their own player board here, and there's going to be 3 eras of the game. And during each era, there are 3 different actions that players can take. Those actions are going to allow you to take other actions. But let's talk about the base actions. The first base action is visit a house of life. So each player has 3 of these apprentices here. So think of these as workers in a worker placement game. And they come with different tiles. You'll have these tiles that you'll be given randomly at the beginning of the game. So you'll take one of these people along with the tile. You will then do the actions on that tile. So the tiles have all sorts of actions. There's probably a dozen different actions that these tiles can do. To do that, though, you're going to need to place your apprentice in one of these houses here on the board. Now, when you place that apprentice in a house on the board, you're going to have to spend food if there's other apprentices already there, even if they are your own, but then you're going to get to do the actions on the tablet. When you're done with that, you'll take that tablet and you'll be discarding that tablet. And this is because another action you can do is you can take a tablet here, an action tablet out. So there's action tablets here, and you can see some cost food, some give you food. You'll take that, and then you're going to place that on your board. So you're kind of picking your actions for the next round. By the way, I've been mentioning food here, and you have a resource here for food in the Ankhs, the 2 different resources that you're going to kind of get and spend over the course of the game. When you take that tile, you also get to do any actions that are next to that tile. Then these will slide down. There's a draw pile. And then the discard pile will get flipped over to become the new draw pile. So these action tiles are going to be constantly run throughout the game. The third main action that you can do, so you can play a worker, do the tile, or take a tile, is move over on this, specialize in a house of life. Again, if you move over, there's apprentices there, you're going to have to pay food. So you move over, and then your scarab is going to move up 1, and you're going to get to take the actions on that track. And each of these tracks is specialized. For example, this one here is about building the pyramids. This is about placing sphinxes out on the board. This is about moving boats, etc. So now that we talked about the 3 main actions, we'll talk about the many, many different actions. And there's a lot of different actions. You can come over here and slowly help build the Great Pyramid, which just looks cool. And so that's there. Or you're building the Queen Pyramids. Of course, you need permissions to build the Queen Pyramids, but you're going to get bonuses for building these pyramids. You can see bonuses built on the pyramids themselves, as well as points that you'll get at the end of every era as you move up on here. There's lots of ways to get points in this game. Building pyramids is one of those ways. Other actions are going to help you build sphinxes and entomb some mummies as the game goes by. That's going to matter up here because you have actions to place these mummies out and score victory points and get Ankhs and get more bonuses as time goes by. And these sphinxes can be placed in various spots all over the board. There's different areas where you can get lots of actions and endgame victory points by placing them on the different numbers. There's a boat section that if you pass certain spots will give you food each era, but you can also move these boats. You can move them into town, or you can take contracts where you need to do a certain amount of things to score points at the end of a round. You get special abilities for going to the town, and you can fish to get more food. And so moving farther down the river can give you better and cooler bonuses. You're also moving priests into a temple here, and they're going to move up different spots, and you will put them in these areas where they'll be making offerings. How do you get these offerings? You'll be taking various goods as another action, and you'll be placing them into your area. You have to kind of build in a pyramid way, and then you can spend these baskets depending where you make the offering to get bonuses, and then this turns over and you'll be scoring points down here. Other things that you will be putting down at the bottom here, you'll be getting papyrus that you'll be placing, and you're trying to place it to match symbols to get extra points, but just having papyrus itself is very useful. There's also an obelisk that you're going to be moving up on, which is going to give you extra bonuses and score you points throughout the game. But a lot of this has to do with this top track here. And I do want to mention this top track because if you can see on both sides of this track, here you have the feather and here you have the heart. And as the game goes by, you'll be moving these down the track. You want to move these because at the end of each era, let's say they're here, they haven't crossed each other yet, so I'm going to lose 2 points. But once they cross each other, I will start gaining points as I move them along. So there's a lot of actions that will let you move both of those. And that is just kind of a smidge of what's going on. Some actions may allow you to do other actions and you're going to combo, but everything is based on those 3 main actions. So you have basically 9 actions per era. There are 3 eras, and at the end of 3 eras, at the end of every era actually, you're going to score things. You'll score for your pyramid track. You'll score for where you are on the obelisk, and several other things will score. And at the end of the 3rd era, whoever has the most points is the winner. Whew. Now, obviously, that was very high-level overview. Explaining this game is not particularly hard because you go over those main actions, and those main actions aren't particularly hard to understand. And then the other actions, and then that's where people kind of get overwhelmed. They're like, wow, there's so many different things I can do. And there really is so many different things you can do. Here's the deal. You can't do it all. You might not build any of your sphinxes. You probably should build some of your sphinxes. You might not be able to build too much on the Great Pyramid, but maybe you should. You may not be able to move your priestesses in, but you're going to do something. And I think in this game, obviously, the key is to specialize, but to kind of pick and choose what you're specializing in because you can do more than one thing. You can specialize in more actions, but then deciding which actions to do and follow, that's what makes the game fun. And I really like the give and take in this game a lot. I like the main action of, okay, so I'm going to play a worker out in one of these tracks. Which track am I going to put him out in? I got to get it out fast in the track I want him to, or else I have to pay food. Do I even have enough food to be able to do that? And then the work I put out, I get that tile, and I get the actions on that tile. Oh, this one lets me do this and this. And then on my second action, do I put out another worker in tile and do those actions? Or do I grab a tile on the board? Because I want some of those tiles. Or do I advance over, which lets me take actions? And every turn you're getting to do stuff, and it just feels satisfying. There's obviously the satisfying of building the temple, but also moving your priests in down those paths, moving your boats down the river and fishing and getting contracts. There's just a lot of various features that come together. And so while many people are going to look at this game as a point salad game, and I get that, right? There's just points for everything. The base actions to me are what makes it fun. I like the thing at the top where the feather and the heart are crossing. I like the obelisk moving up on it, and I feel like all your actions let you do stuff, and you just want to do more stuff than everybody else. This is my style of a heavier Euro game where everyone is doing stuff and you want to do your stuff the best to win. Yes, there is interaction because putting those people out or putting out those apprentices, if you put too many apprentices in one area, it's going to cost too much food. Other people may not be able to go to that spot. And also I'm taking tiles that you want and I'm erecting sphinxes in spots that you wanted to put them up in. And I grabbed that contract on the river before you did. So there's not a lot of direct action, but that interference with other people, I think, causes this game to be pretty good. The negatives are, like I said, setup's a bit of a bear. And the pieces, you're like, stack all these pieces. And I'm like, goodness gracious. I wish there was a better way than stacking 4 feathers at the beginning of the game, for example. And there is, it is a pretty tough game to teach, but it's made up of everything is very straightforward. Yes, I'm getting the Sphinx ready. Then I build the Sphinx and get the stuff on that space. I build a piece of the pyramid. I get stuff. I move down this track. It lets me build a piece of the pyramid. I move the boat down the river. I take an action with that boat. It's all straightforward. There's just a lot of different actions. I don't need to kind of figure out ahead what I'm doing, but I do want to keep the food and the onks coming in. I kind of want some offerings so I can move up the temple. And everything really interconnects, too. It all interconnects, but you can still kind of ignore different sections if you want to, maybe at your peril. Maybe you won't, someone else will get a lot of points from them, but you can't do everything, and I'm okay with that. It all comes down to that main feature, which is those back and forth. Hey, I'm using a tile, taking the actions, I'm taking a new tile, and that to me is a lot of fun. The little actions are all fun too, but they're all based on that main action. And so this is a game I think that has a lot of replayability, and I think it's very fun. So this is an 8 out of 10 for me. I enjoy it. It looks good. It's going to be a little overwhelming for some people, and the theme is, barely there, except for maybe going down the river and the pyramids. But that theme that's barely there still is cool. And I think if you like games, if you like Euro games the same way I do, if you watch my videos, I like Rosenberg games. I tend to like games that when you take actions and get stuff. And this is one of those games that does that. And it also feels a little bit sandboxy with so many different actions to take. So that's Men-Nefer. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.